Alright, today I have for you a Star Wars video games tier list. These are all the games available on the Xbox store. I have a PlayStation 4, but none of the Star Wars games exclusive there. It's just Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales on it. This is all the Star Wars games I own on the Xbox Series S. This is as basic as it gets for Star Wars games, but honestly, I don't mind it here. This is obviously isn't as strong as the following Battlefront games, but it feels more like a teaser on what's to come for Battlefront II. So with the flaws here, I'm not really going to tear into the game about it, because it was just finding its footing, so I'm going to give it a respectable B tier. This game seems to be most people's favorite Star Wars game, and I can see why. It has a really fun gameplay loop that feels more addictive than Blue Sky Meth, a fantastic game mode in Galactic Conquest that, for the life of me, I'll never be able to learn how it works. The campaign is interesting. I find it a very fascinating tale for a normal trooper's experience throughout the films. You can tell it's very last minute put together, but there's still charm in it. Very fun game that I will continue to play after this, S tier. People hype up the Jedi Knight games so much that you think they're the best games ever, but hot take, they kinda blow. No, I haven't played Dark Forces 1 and 2, because I don't own a machine that can play them, but based on Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy, they're extremely mid. Jedi Outcast starts off as an above-average Doom clone with whack-ass controls, then you get a lightsaber with whack-ass controls. When I play it, I feel extremely bored. I don't feel like a Jedi. None of the combat sections have any weight to them. Even writing the script is putting me to sleep. Jedi Academy is marginally better, but like the first game, I was not invested in any of the characters or the story. This isn't related, but something I wish these games discussed more were the difference between Dark Jedi and Sith. From what I can tell from this game, Dark Jedi are people who embrace the dark side but still follow the Jedi religion, which makes no sense, but that's the EU for you. But anyways, these games are extremely mediocre. I'm probably never going to play them again, C tier, but they'd probably go down to D tier. LucasArts deadass went, hey, Halo's popular, and people like Star Wars. Why don't we copy Halo, but make it loosely Star Wars looking and hinder the gameplay extremely? I do not understand how people find this game fun. If you do, that's good, more power to you. But this game feels lifeless and dry to me. I'd rather play Halos 4 and 5 over this. The gameplay is genuinely infuriating and mediocre. I'm sorry, but I can't have a fun time with this game, and I can't give it anything higher than a D. I have played this game upwards of 88 times, and playing it for an 89th time still made me very happy. It holds up even after Jedi Survivor has released. The game has only been out for 5 years, and timeless is an adjective I think is appropriate to describe the gameplay. The music is my favorite music in a video game. Sometimes I'll just binge the album while doing everyday things. For most of my videos, when I'm not using the same cover of Take On Me, or using my friend's cover of Viva La Vida, I'll use the music from this game as background music for my videos. The story is thematically rich. It's a story about dealing with trauma, defying your past, a choice to be better, and making a dead man proud. Never before have I been this jealous at writing. And this is all carries over beautifully into Jedi Survivor. I talk about this game too much, I love everything about it, S tier. So I just replayed this game, and let me tell you, it hits harder the second time. Everything in this game that I knew I liked and stated in my initial review still stands, but holy shit, this was an amazing going through the story again. The gameplay is immersive, it makes you feel like a Jedi. Not only that, but replaying it for the story is gonna make you feel some things. During my first playthrough, Seer's death didn't really make me too emotional. I think I was more or less in shock at the events that had just panned out. This playthrough, I got to right before Seer battles Vader and turned off the game for like a week, then came back to it. All because I was dreading having to go through this again. One thing the game does really well during Vader's boss fight is that it doesn't try to build artificial tension. The music isn't epic or suspenseful, it is sad and dreadful. The game knows what's gonna happen, you know what's gonna happen, it's telling you what's gonna happen, but you desperately try in vain to win anyway, all for it to amount to nothing. And what makes Seer's death so sad for Cal is that he wasn't actually there to witness it. When Seer was dying in Cal's arms, it was a Force echo, and he was there after witnessing his mother die. Do not talk to me, I am not okay. I still have a problem with Cal embracing the dark side in the game, but this time around I was more blinded at my resentment for Bode. All I could think about is killing that motherfucker who caused Seer's death. So it didn't really bother me, as this game made me feel like embracing the dark side in real life.
One more.
How are you feeling?
One more. One more. Okay, no, one more.
Today.
One more.
Anyways, at the end of my initial review, I had said that this game was only my second favorite game next to Fallen Order, but I think it's time to be honest, it's better than Fallen Order. S tier. This game has a problem like the next Battlefront game, where it was released very unfinished and lacking in content, and with all the Season Pass and DLC, when the game cut support, it ended right where it started. But besides that, it's a pretty decent game. The gameplay loop is kind of frustrating. Maybe it's because I'm just bad now, but my experience playing it is spawn, run around for 5 minutes, then die and repeat. And I don't remember it being this bad. I used to have fun, but now it just feels boring. I'm gonna give it a C tier. This game I am really conflicted on if I like or not. Yes, this did have a huge glow up over time, and for the time it was one of the best Star Wars games, but the live service ended and DICE let the game die. One of my biggest pet peeves at this game is the campaign is not really good. Aiden and Del are not very good protagonists. Hask is not a very good antagonist. There's a stark lack of good characterization. And I'm not saying it's simple characterization, I'm saying it's half-assed characterization. It all feels underdeveloped, even down to the trivial stuff, like, say, Aiden's relationship with the droid. She doesn't even call it by his name.
Droid, slice the door! Slice it, droid. Droid, overload the cooling cells. Droid, slice that.
Like, imagine if Luke Skywalker or Cal Kestis showed this amount of droid racism. I do not think we would have liked them very much. I mean, Cal did kinda drop the hard R.
Hey, Clankers! Over here.
People have already criticized the Death Star explosion scene to death at this point, but it's honestly well deserved. I always thought that the destruction of the Death Star was like the Empire's version of 9/11. Even George Lucas would admit so, as he says that if Star Wars came out today, the Rebels would be compared to Al-Qaeda.
You did something very interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it. The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists today. We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
This symbol of imperial strength was just destroyed, and Iden has a temporary look of shock on her face and says, "Aight boys, back to work." Honestly, the only redeeming factors of this campaign is the loot level and the content surrounding the campaign, like the Inferno Squadron book. It gives a lot more depth to Iden, Del, Hask, and all the other members of Inferno Squad. It's something this game refuses to do. And then we have the DLC campaign, which I've stated before that if you can get through the mediocre stuff out of the way, you start an actual good campaign. The multiplayer side of this game is extremely dry. There are little to no servers, and the ones that do get full only allow 4 people, like Co-op and Hero Showdown. I guess they're good to pass the time, but it doesn't have the addictive factor that Battlefront II 2005 had. Even when I find some full lobbies for Galactic Assault and Supremacy, the vibe just isn't there anymore. It feels like every player is just going through the motions. It feels very bland nowadays. But I remember back when like The Rise of Skywalker came out, this game was like the thing. It was more popular than ever. It's honestly a shadow of its former self now. This game, just because I'm being generous, is getting a B tier. Just because of how much fun I used to have, and how I can still feel a glimpse of it today. If you were born past the year of 2001, this is no doubt a part of your childhood, as it was a part of mine. This is one of those games like Minecraft or Roblox that are immortalized in pop culture forever. This is the perfect adaptation of the Star Wars movies. It's accessible to all people. If you have never seen a Star Wars, this one is very open and will explain everything near perfectly without the characters saying a word. Every level feels unique. Even the ones that are annoying still feel fun to play. This game slaps. Play it if you own it. S tier. LEGO Star Wars 2 I don't have much to say about, because it's only half of the true game. I've already stated how I feel about the complete saga, but this game is still fun. 8 tier. This game is good, but it isn't as good as other LEGO games. It was fun to play, and I did struggle a bit with putting the game down and going to bed. And for what it's worth, they adapted the TV show into the video game really well. Even if it's only the earlier seasons of Clone Wars, I thought it was fun. However, due to it being based on a TV show, it definitely drags out a bit. But I feel if they waited a couple more years to like season 4 and 5, this issue would have been worse, because I feel like there would have been more show to adapt and more show to drag out. However, I do think they should try again with the following seasons in a remaster or remake. But even with these issues, a subpar LEGO game still puts it above a lot of other games. However, if you give me the option to play this put it against something like LEGO Skywalker Saga, I will choose that. B tier. This game was also integral to my childhood. This was my first game on Xbox, and me and my siblings and my cousin played the crap out of this game. At the time, The Force Awakens was still fresh in my mind, and it was my favorite movie at the time. We're playing this, I was overwhelmed with nostalgia. I didn't like it. I hate how this game makes me feel things. Not to mention that the game itself is really good. The gameplay loop is similar to Complete Saga, in that no two levels feel alike. Every character feels distinct, and while going through levels, you'll go through every nook and cranny and have the urge to replay and free play. The flight mechanics are the best you can get in a Star Wars game. The hub worlds are really big for a LEGO game, and I dislike how they size them down for the Skywalker saga. Honestly, I think they should just port them from this game into that game. This game, playing the entire Force Awakens soundtrack over and over again, is probably the reason why The Force Awakens has my favorite score of any Star Wars movie. Listening to it over and over isn't really annoying, but oddly calming and quite therapeutic. I can't play the tracks here because I'll get screwed by copyrights, but go listen to the OST on repeat. You'll never get sick of it. So for how much I personally enjoy the game, I would probably give it an S tier. However, there is a lot crammed into it, and it does feel like the movie is drawn in certain areas. I think it was Chapter 7 that had you going around the Resistance base, doing superfluous things like getting a Neon Nub ice cream so he will join the battle and save the galaxy. And I feel that the game could have had a tighter runtime. It adapts a 2 hour and 15 minute movie into 9 hours of a game. So as much as I want to give it S tier, it's going to sit comfortably at A tier. This one is alright. The amount of work that went into this game is incredible. From all the delays and production issues this game faced, I'm glad that the TT Games team were finally able to get this out. Even if not every feature that was promised isn't here, you can tell they really labored over this game. It helps that the game itself is really fun. It forgoes the traditional LEGO formula and decides to go open world, and I do like me an open world game. The levels are really well designed, the screen is never completely crammed with stuff, in the way LEGO Force Awakens was. Like previous LEGO Star Wars entries, this retells the tale of Star Wars in a very cute way. There is dialogue, but you can actually turn it off and have the characters go back to the mumble and grunts like in the original game. The DLC in the game feels alright, but has some things left to be desired. It's all just character packs. There are no level packs, which is a staple of modern LEGO games, and I'm sad to see it go. But other than that, this game is fun, A tier. I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief, I never finished this game. I have really bad ADHD, and this type of RPG game just doesn't keep my attention. However, I want to give you guys as honest as a ranking for this game as possible. So what I did is I asked someone else to do it for me. So class, behave while I'm gone. Here's Star Wars Sawyer from TikTok to talk about Knights of the Old Republic.
At 20 years old, Knights of the Old Republic is still a staple of Star Wars video gaming, and I highly recommend that everybody play it. It is truly one of the only authentic choose-your-own adventures that we have in the Star Wars universe, from deciding whether or not you're going to use the light or dark side of the Force, to picking which companions you're going to follow throughout your gameplay. In fact, the replay value is insanely high on KOTOR, just from the sheer amount of companions you have to choose from in your party. And not to mention the fact that even the smallest of side quests have multiple different routes you can choose to take with them. Something I think is so special about KOTOR is that everybody who has played it has their own relationship and own version of Darth Revan that we've created for ourselves and fallen in love with as a character. And despite all of the glitches and wonky graphics, that alone makes it worth a playthrough. That being said, if you are considering playing KOTOR for the first time, I recommend playing a port through the Xbox or Switch instead of the regular PC game because the controls are very frustrating. All in all though, KOTOR has a very special place in my heart. I love Revan, I love all of the side characters, I love the core of the story and the Old Republic era, so I have to give this game an A ranking.
These are the games that annoy me the most. I'm gonna get a little personal, so strap in and get ready. The Force Unleashed series are the biggest disappointments of the Star Wars games saga. Both are lore-breaking messes. There isn't a continuity they fit in and can make sense. The gameplay is horrendous. Granted, the first game is good to shave off some time, but it's not actually fun. The second game, you are playing a too overpowered character. Throughout the whole game, I only died 2 or 3 times. On my original playthrough, I only had fun for 1 level. This game is so short at 5 hours, and it feels like it drags. Of all people, Sheevs Talks and Nerdstalgics made pretty accurate videos on why these games are bad. I'll link these videos here because I agree with most of their points. I kinda want to do a more in-depth video on why these games are bad, but I am having trouble playing this game willingly. I'd rather play Lord of the Rings Gollum over this shit. So Force Unleashed 1 gets D tier, and Force Unleashed 2, F tier.
Ha! Almost lost my cool there.
Star Wars Squadrons is a game that isn't for everyone. It's a Star Wars flight simulator, made by the company that developed the campaign for Battlefront II. And this game is much better than I remember it being. It felt good to fly around in the Y-Wing, taking down Imperial scum. The campaign though is as flavorful as bread and water. If you're playing this game, it's gonna be for the gameplay. Now I know this game has a presence on VR, and some people have been using hot-ass flight sticks. If I ever get a VR headset and a flight stick, I'll probably try it out. But as I play right now, it's fun, it's a B tier, you won't hate it, try it out.